everybody. Today we're going to be making another pole dancing gopher. These guys and the pole dancing squirrels are definitely some of our most popular items, so I'm going to walk you through how I put these things together. So first up, I'm going to get this guy skinned, and then we'll start going from there. Okay, so I got the gopher skinned out. I got him put into borax here. With smaller animals like a gopher or squirrel, a lot of times I'll just leave the bones of the front leg in. I'll clean them up kind of like you do with a bird when you leave some of the bones of the wings and stuff like that. Just clean all the meat off of it, make sure it's got lots of borax on it, and they'll dry out fine. You won't have to worry about anything like that. So I'll get the form made for this guy, and then we'll put him on the pole. I got the main form built here, the main body, so the next thing I'm going to do is put a wire through it. That'll allow me to bend that body however I want it. That's also where I'm going to attach the foam head part to, so put that through. This is my little foam head I made off a mold. I'm going to put it on the end here. That. You can see just the wire sticking through there. And then I'm going to take some super glue and just put a little bit of super glue on that wire. That. And the head goes onto there. Just like that. I'm going to put a little bit more super glue kind of just on around the edge of it. Just help to really lock it into place. Alright, so we got our form totally made here. Got our hide. So all the legs are all wired up on it. Some borax and fleshed and everything. So get this guy put onto the form now. Slide him down into place, hopefully. Like that. Throw one pin in the end just to keep that from moving around. Push that wire back through, and I can see I make marks on the form. When I'm making it, I base that off of the carcass that I'm trying to simulate. So I know where to attach the legs, so you're not making them too far back or forward or something like that. It looks the way it's supposed to, so wire goes through, turns it around, locks in place, same with the other one. Mark. It also just helps too, like you can kind of see when you got a jumbled mess of everything going on here, to make sure you're not putting one leg like where it's supposed to be, the other one's kind of coming out of his chest, because you make those marks ahead of time so you know when you're putting your wire through, that's where it's supposed to be. It saves a lot of backtracking, trying to fix things after the fact. So that down. Do a double check. We'll kind of make sure we didn't somehow screw that all up. Looks good, looks even. Good. Back legs going here. So same with the back legs, I've got those landmarked. Biggest thing is making sure you don't have the leg all twisted up before you put it through. So that's real inconvenient. Okay. back to the other leg. I had to go break up a fight between my kids, so we're back. So now we got the back legs in place. We're gonna put the tail support wire in there. Pretty good for the most part. So for the tail support wire, what I typically do is I'll actually coat this thing in glue and then I'll stick it down into the tail, and that way it kind of glues itself obviously to the tail, makes it a little bit stronger so you don't have to worry about the tail breaking off or something like that later on if it's actually attached solidly to the wire. So I'll go grab my glue and we'll get this guy put in. So I'm sure somebody's going to ask me, really special sophisticated stuff here. It's the generic white glue is what I use. I have had absolutely no problems with it over the years. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This guy, what I typically do is I'll actually stick the wire all the way straight through the tail. Into the form. Sharpen it up a little bit. Through. Spin it around. Tighten it in place. Put that tail all the way up, and then I'll cut that excess wire off at the end, but that way at least I know the entire length of that tail has got wire through it, as opposed to if you just put it in there and then you end up pulling it further back when you're trying to anchor it under the form, it might not have wire all the way to the end. This way I know for sure there's no way there's a part of the tail that doesn't have that wire and glue into it. So leave that for now, and then the next step is going to be sewing this guy up the back, and I usually just build up the back legs. So there's a little bit of a void there you can see. I'll build that up with a little bit of cotton batting just to fill it in. So I noticed when I was fleshing this guy that he had a little green spot on his belly. So we have had a bit of a fur slip right there. So I was kind of messing around with different positions to try and hide that with the pole. So I think this is the one I'm gonna go with. So I'll get set up for this, and then it should hide that spot pretty good. Alright, so I got his face all pinned up, so that looks pretty good. So first thing I'm gonna do is put this down. I got a hole drilled in the base here. There we go. Just kind of got it bent over like that just to hold it in position. Then I've got a nail right here that's stuck into the pole, and that's what's going to stick into the form there and lock it in place. But in the meantime, I'll put some glue on it here. So I got the nail right here. I'm going to put some glue on it. And that's what's going to actually stick into the form right here. To help lock that into position. That should work pretty good because it covers most of where that first slippage was, which is what I was hoping it was going to do. This wasn't the original pose I had in mind, but just because of that first slip, we kind of had to switch gears a little bit and figure it out, which is the way things go a lot of times with taxidermy. You just kind of got to roll with it. You have a vision of what you want to have happen originally, and then something changes and you have to switch it up. So this will work. That looks pretty good. Cool. We'll get this guy in front of the fan and start letting him dry. Alright, it's been a few weeks, so gopher is totally dry, so we can start pulling these pins out of here. Do some last minute finish work. And it is totally done. Here is our finished pole dancing gopher. These things are always a fun project to work on. We sell piles of these guys, so I doubt this one's going to last very long.